I've been reborn. Back to the very day I divorced my wife, Willow Grace. In my previous life, she signed it coldly, her eyes looking at me, like staring at some worthless trash. But this time, when I pushed the divorce agreement in front of her, her eyes welled up red, and she tore the agreement to shreds without hesitation. I pushed the pre-printed divorce agreement right in front of Willow Grace. Sign it. In my previous life, right here. This woman didn't even bother to glance at me. She signed her name with bold, flowing strokes, then told her assistant to kick me out, like discarding some trash. And me, Victor Hayes, a worthless live-in son-in-law of the Willow family. That was the label the entire upper class in Cloud City slapped on me. And the one who gave me that label was none other than my wife right in front of me, Willow Grace. She wore a exquisitely tailored white suit, her long hair pinned up high, revealing her slender swan-like neck. That face, beautiful enough to captivate the world, showed not a trace of emotion. The implication in her gaze could freeze the entire atmosphere around us. I once thought that if I just tried hard enough, I could warm this block of ice. But 3 years of marriage brought only endless indifference and humiliation in return. She looked down on me. From the bottom of her soul, she despised me. The whole world knew it. It wasn't until just before I died that I learned. It turns out, she always had a white moonlight in her heart, and I was nothing but a shield for her to deal with the family's arranged marriage. Reborn in this life. Wow. I'm tired, disheartened. I just want to escape all of this quickly, then find a place with beautiful mountains and rivers to brew wine. Exercise. Live the leisurely life I've always dreamed of. I watched her quietly, waiting for her to decisively sign it, just like in my previous life. But 1 second, 2 seconds, 10 seconds passed, and Willow Grace still didn't move. Her eyes, usually calm as autumn water, were now staring right at me, swirling with emotions I couldn't fathom: shock, pain, and utter panic. I frowned. Was I seeing things? Willow Grace, take a good look at the divorce agreement, I reminded her. I even tapped my knuckles on the table. You're free now. You can go find your white moonlight. White moonlight, she murmured, her face instantly drained of all color. The next second, she did something that left me gaping. She suddenly stood up, her hands planted on the table, her body leaning forward. Those beautiful eyes quickly misted over, glaring at me. I'm not signing. Her voice trembled and rasped, as if choked from deep in her throat. I was stunned. This wasn't the script. In my previous life, didn't she hate me so much she couldn't wait to get rid of me? What did you say? I suspected I'd heard wrong. I said, I'm not signing. Willow Grace repeated it once more, her voice a bit louder now. She reached out and snatched the divorce agreement. Rip. The black words on white paper were torn to pieces right before my eyes. She seemed not yet satisfied, crumpling the shreds into a ball, then tossing it straight into the trash. After doing all that, her chest heaved violently, her eyes red and swollen to a frightening degree, tears on the verge of spilling, but stubbornly refusing to fall. That appearance wasn't like a cold, icy female CEO, but more like a child whose candy had been stolen. Victor Hayes, what do you mean by this? She questioned me, her voice carrying a choked sob. Why do you want to divorce me? I was dazed by this sudden turn of events. What was going on? Could my rebirth have caused a butterfly effect? Or was it that the Willow Grace in front of me was just like me? A bold thought popped into my head. I tested the waters. Do you remember too? Willow Grace's body stiffened for a moment. Her pupils suddenly contracted. She looked at me in utter disbelief. Her lips moved, but no words came out. Seeing her reaction, my heart shook. She'd been reborn too. Chapter 2. The air seemed to freeze solid. The two of us just stared at each other like that, each other's eyes filled with raging waves. So the painful memories weren't mine alone. The fire that took my life, that heart-wrenching burning pain. Could she have? What? Willow Grace finally found her voice again, but it was incredibly hoarse. You came back too? I nodded, my emotions complicated to the extreme. What game was heaven playing with me, letting me be reborn, but bringing back the woman I wanted to escape from most? Getting my affirmative answer, Willow Grace seemed drained of all strength. Her whole body staggered and collapsed into the chair. She bowed her head. I couldn't see her expression clearly. I could only see her hands clutching the hem of her clothes, her knuckles white from gripping too hard. The office sank into a deadly silence. I didn't know what to say. The resentment from my previous life still weighed heavy on my heart, but seeing her fragile appearance now, that hatred seemed blocked by something, unable to pour out. After a long time, she finally lifted her head. The tears in her eyes had dried, leaving only unquenchable sorrow and regret. I'm sorry. She looked at me, saying each word clearly. I was stunned. Willow Grace, the lofty, icy female CEO, who never bowed her head, was actually apologizing to me. This was even harder to believe than her rebirth. Sorry? I smirked, letting out a cold laugh. Miss Willow, what do you have to feel sorry for me about? Haven't you always looked down on me? Despised this skirt chaser. Now I'm taking the initiative to step back, making way for you and your white moonlight. You should be thrilled. There's no white moonlight at all. She hurriedly interrupted me, her voice turning off key. There never was any white moonlight. There isn't. I felt like I'd heard the biggest joke in the world. Willow Grace, we've both died once already. Are you still going to put on an act in front of me? Do you dare say you don't have Landon Vaughn in your heart? Landon Vaughn, her perfect childhood sweetheart brother, who was also the final straw that crushed me in my previous life. I'll never forget the moment when the whole city mocked me, while Willow Grace laughed and chatted happily with Landon Vaughn in front of the media cameras. Hearing the name, Landon Vaughn. Willow Grace's face paled even more. Her lips moved as if to explain something, but in the end, it turned into a bitter smile. Victor Hayes. In my previous life, I was wrong. Her voice sank low, carrying a hint of pleading. Can you give me another chance? We won't divorce. We'll live well together. Live well. I looked at her, feeling nothing but ridicule and absurdity. What did you do before? Only regretting after someone dies. Willow Grace, do you think that's possible? I stood up, looking down at her from above. I've had enough of your coldness. Enough of the glares from the Willow family. And especially enough of living in your shadow. In this life, I just want to live for myself. With that, I didn't bother looking at her anymore, turned and walked away. Victor Hayes, she screamed in pain from behind. My steps faltered, but I didn't turn back. Don't go, please. Her voice carried, thick with sobs, filled with despair and humility. My heart trembled. That familiar feeling of emotions being tugged by her came rushing back. No, I dug my nails into my palm, using the pain to keep myself alert. Victor Hayes, don't make another stupid mistake. Have you forgotten how you died in your previous life? Have you forgotten how she treated you? Women are poison. Don't touch it. I took a deep breath. Without turning back, I pushed open the office door and strode straight out. Outside was Willow Grace's chief secretary, Assistant Tracy, holding coffee in her hands. Seeing me come out, a flash of contempt in her eyes, quickly replaced by a professional fake smile. Mr. Hayes. I didn't bother with her. Headed straight for the elevator. The office door behind suddenly swung open hard. Victor Hayes. Stop, right there. That was Willow Grace's voice. I didn't stop, but pressed the down button on the elevator. The moment the elevator doors were about to close, a foot in white high heels, suddenly wedged in between. The elevator sensed the obstruction and slowly opened again. Willow Grace stood outside, panting, her hair disheveled, makeup smudged, eyes swollen red. No trace left of the icy female CEO. She stepped quickly into the elevator, ignoring the shocked looks from the employees around, grabbing my wrist tightly. Her hand was very cold and still trembling slightly. "Come back with me." She looked at me, her eyes full of stubbornness and pleading. I shook off her hand, my voice icy. "Willow Grace, don't force me to make an ugly scene here with you." My words made her body freeze, a flash of hurt in her eyes. The air in the elevator nearly froze to ice. The employees around didn't dare breathe loudly, sneaking glances at us with peripheral vision. They must be thinking, this worthless, live-in son-in-law. What did he do to upset Miss Willow this time? Ding! The elevator reached the first floor. I stepped out first. Willow Grace followed close behind. "Victor Hayes, where are you going?" "Home to pack my things." I deliberately emphasized the words home, laden with sarcasm. That so-called home was nothing but a remodeled servant's room in the Willow family villa. Willow Grace's steps halted, watching my back, her lips trembling. In the end, unable to utter words to hold me back. Perhaps she knew too. The hurts from the previous life couldn't be erased with just an apology. Chapter 3. I returned to the Willow family villa. Called a villa, but it had nothing to do with me really. Where I stayed was a separate row of outbuildings next to the main house, previously for high-level servants. The room wasn't big but fully equipped. Over 3 years I'd spent most of my time here. The looks from the Willow family servants toward me always carried undisguised contempt in their eyes. A live-in son-in-law like me had status lower than the Alaskan Malamute named General that the Willow family kept. I simply packed my things. There wasn't much to pack really. A few changes of clothes, an old phone used for years, and a few books on brewing wine. I stuffed it all into a suitcase and dragged it out of the room. In the yard, that Alaskan Malamute named General was sprawled on the grass sunbathing. Seeing me come out, it lazily lifted its eyelids to look, then closed them again. Toward me, its nominal male master. It didn't even bother to wag its tail. I let out a self-mocking laugh, dragged the suitcase, preparing to leave. Just then, a bright red Ferrari supercar zoomed into the yard with a beautiful drift, stopping right in front of me. The door opened. A girl in a pink dress with a sweet, adorable appearance jumped out. Serena Moon, Willow Grace's cousin, who was also the only one in this cold villa. That made me feel a bit of warmth. "Brother-in-law, where are you going?" Serena Moon saw the suitcase in my hand. Her little face immediately fell, running over in a few quick steps to stand before me. "Little Moon," I smiled at the girl. "Your cousin and I are divorced. I'm getting ready to leave." "Divorced?" Serena Moon's voice shot up an octave, her face full of disbelief. "Why, cousin? Did she agree?" "Whether she agrees or not doesn't matter. What matters is I've decided. In my previous life, after I died, I overheard the emergency nurses gossiping. It seemed only Serena Moon cried over my death. So, I've always had a soft spot for the girl. No way. I'm not letting you go." Serena Moon panicked, spreading her arms to block me, striking a pose like, "If you want to go, you'll have to step over my dead body." "Did you argue with my cousin again? She's all bark and no bite." "Don't take it to heart. Let me go scold her for you." I shook my head. "Little Moon, this is my own decision. It has nothing to do with her." "How could it not?" Serena Moon stomped her foot in frustration. "Did cousin bully you again? Tell me. I'll avenge you." Seeing the girl's worried look for me, my heart warmed. This silly kid, grown-up matters aren't for kids to handle. I reached out and ruffled her hair. Take good care of yourself from now on. With that, I sidestepped her and kept walking. Victor Hayes! An icy voice rang out from behind. I turned to look. Willow Grace had returned at some point, standing not far away with a pale face, watching us. Behind her was Assistant Tracy, who never showed me respect. Cousin, Serena Moon saw Willow Grace. Immediately, like finding backup, ran over and grabbed her hand. Cousin, talk to brother-in-law, quick. He wants to divorce you. He wants to leave this house. Willow Grace's gaze landed on the suitcase by my feet. Her eyes darkened. She took a deep breath and walked toward me. The click of high heels on the gravel path. Each sound like stepping on my heart. Everything packed up? She stood firm in front of me. Her voice a bit hoarse. Yeah, you have to go. My decisiveness made the light in her eyes fade. She was silent for a moment, then suddenly said, Fine. You can go, but take General with you. I was stunned, and not just me. Even Serena Moon and Assistant Tracy standing by were shocked. General was Willow Grace's treasured pet, precious as gold. Normally, even servants weren't allowed to touch it, and now she wanted me to take it. Willow Grace, what trick are you playing now? I looked at her warily. I'm not playing any tricks. Willow Grace's expression was very serious. General really likes you. If you go, it won't adjust. Likes me? I nearly burst out laughing. That dog doesn't even lift an eyelid when it sees me. And you call that liking, Willow Grace? To keep me here. You'd even say such lies? Before I could finish, the dog General on the grass suddenly stood up, running toward me with excited steps. Then, before everyone's shocked eyes, it rubbed its big head against my leg. Serena Moon raised eye, and Assistant Tracy gaped in surprise. Was this still that arrogant dog that ignored everyone? See, I wasn't wrong. The corner of Willow Grace's mouth curved into a barely noticeable smile. I looked down. I looked down at the big dog, so enthusiastically in front of me. My mind a chaotic mess. What the hell was wrong with this world? Chapter 4. In the end, I couldn't leave. Not because of Willow Grace, nor because of Serena Moon, but because of that dog named General. It bit down hard on my suitcase, striking a pose like you can go, but the suitcase stays. I tried reasoning with it. It barked woof woof twice, indicating it didn't understand. I tried pulling hard, but its bite strength was incredible. I nearly got dragged away by it. I was sweating buckets from exhaustion. That dog was still eagerly facing off with me. Serena Moon stood by giggling, even pulling out her phone to snap photos, saying she'd post them on social media. Titled, Fierce Dog Battles Live-In Son-in-Law. What on earth for? I was so mad I wanted to bash my head into tofu and die. Willow Grace stood to the side quietly watching, saying nothing. Her eyes very complex, with helplessness, guilt, and a hint of fondness. I must have been seeing things. Finally, I declared surrender. Fine. I'm not going. Let go, I yelled at General. Miraculously, as soon as I said it, General immediately released its grip, then wagged its tail, happily running to Willow Grace's feet, lifting its head like claiming credit. Willow Grace squatted down to pet its head, whispering something. I was too far to hear clearly, but I saw her smile. That smile was very faint, but, like a ray of winter sun, instantly warming her icy face. I stared, a bit entranced. Married 3 years. I'd never seen her smile like that. Seriously, brother-in-law, stop staring. Your eyes are about to fall out. Serena Moon came close, elbowing me, winking and saying, My cousin's pretty, right? I snapped back, my old face reddening, stubbornly replying, Just average. Beef, saying one thing but meaning another. Serena Moon pouted, then lowered her voice to me, Brother-in-law, don't think my cousin's always cold as ice. She actually cares about you a lot. Cares about me? I felt like I'd heard a joke. What does she care about? Whether I got scolded by the Willow family today, or if my allowance this month is enough. No way. Serena Moon hurried. You know last time you caught a cold and had a fever? It was cousin who went to the kitchen to cook porridge for you, and that rare edition wine brewing book set you like. It was cousin who pulled so many strings to bring it back from abroad for you. She's just not good at expressing it. I was stunned. Was that true? Why didn't I have any impression? I only remembered last time I had a 102-degree fever. Called her. She coldly said in a meeting and hung up. And that book set. I always thought I'd scrimped and saved to buy from a used bookseller. Could it all have been a misunderstanding? No, impossible. The pain from my previous life was so real. How could it be a misunderstanding? It must be this kid, Serena Moon, got bought off by Willow Grace, deliberately saying this to trick me. Little Moon, you don't need to speak for her. I interrupted the girl. Between her and me, it's not something a few bowls of porridge or a few books can fix. With that, I ignored the girl, dragged the empty suitcase back to my small room. General wagged its tail, trailing behind me. I shut the door, leaving it outside. It whined twice at the door, like a pitiful, abandoned child. I ignored it, lying on the bed, my mind in turmoil. Willow Grace's tears, Serena Moon's words, and General's unusual behavior. All of this deviated hugely from my memories of the previous life. Could the reborn ones not just be us too? This world had undergone some changes I didn't know about. Just as I was lost in random thoughts, the phone rang. An unknown number. I hesitated but answered. Hello? Victor Hayes? It's Dad. On the other end came an aged, weary voice. My whole body shook. I bolted up from the bed. Dad? Didn't my dad pass away in a construction accident when I was in college? Chapter 5. Who are you? My voice trembled uncontrollably. You, little rascal, can't even recognize your old man's voice? The person on the other end scolded affectionately, but the tone carried a subtle tension. My mind exploded with a boom. Blank, this voice, this tone. It really was my dad. But how could that be? Didn't Dad? I choked, unable to speak. Die, right? The other end sighed. It's a long story. Where are you now? Convenient to me? Yes, I nodded hurriedly. Gave the address of the Willow family villa, ... Hung up, but I was still in extreme shock. My dad was alive. This news shook me more than my own rebirth. I quickly changed clothes, rushed out of the villa without telling anyone. I waited anxiously at the gate. About half an hour later, a black Audi 8 stopped in front of me. The door opened. An old man in a black Zhongshan suit, gray hair but still spirited, stepped out. Seeing him, my tears couldn't be held back and streamed down. Dad! I rushed over and hugged him tight. Still, that familiar breath with a faint tobacco smell. You little rascal, how old are you now? Still, crying like a baby. My dad patted my back, his eyes a bit red too. Dad, what on earth happened? Back then, didn't you? That incident is hard to explain in one go. My dad pulled me to sit on a stone bench by the road. Back then, it wasn't an accident. But I offended someone. To protect you, I had to fake my death to escape. Offended someone? I was dazed. Yeah, a very powerful rival. My dad's eyes grew deep. These years I've been abroad. Only recently wrapped up everything there. So now you're okay? I asked worriedly. I'm fine now, my dad smiled. The smile carrying some vicissitude. It's all in the past. And you, I heard you're a live-in son-in-law at the Willow family. Mentioning this, my face immediately fell. Dad, no need to say more. I know all about it. My dad patted my hand, his eyes full of guilt. It's my fault, letting you suffer. Not suffering, I shook my head. tears falling again. As long as you're alive, nothing else matters. You silly rascal. My dad pulled a bank card from his pocket, stuffed it into my hand. There's some money in here. Take it and leave the Willow family. My son can't be a live-in son-in-law for others. I stared at the black card in my hand, stunned. Dad, where did you get so much money? I remember our family was poor before. These years abroad, did some small business. My dad said indifferently. I didn't ask further. To me, money wasn't important. What mattered was my dad was back. Father and son talked for a long time. Until the sky darkened, my dad finally stood to leave. I'm staying temporarily at the Grand Hyatt in Cloud City. You can come find me anytime. He instructed me to hurry with the divorce procedures. Don't get entangled with the Willow family anymore. Yes, I nodded heavily. With Dad backing me, my resolve to leave the Willow family grew firmer. After seeing Dad off, I held that black card, my mood unable to calm for a long time. My life, seemed from this moment to completely turn around. I returned to the villa, preparing to talk to Willow Grace again, this time full of confidence. However, as I reached the living room door, I heard intense arguing from inside. Willow Grace, have you gone mad? For a worthless guy, you dare oppose the Landon family. That was Willow Grace's mother, my sharp-tongued mother-in-law. Lydia Snow's voice. Mom B. He's not worthless. In Willow Grace's voice carried a trace of fatigue, but firmness. Besides, Landon Vaughn and I are just friends. I've never thought of being with him. Friends? You think I'm a 3-year-old? You two grew up together. Childhood sweethearts. Who doesn't know you have him in your heart? If not for Grandpa insisting back then on you recruiting a live-in son-in-law, for good luck, you'd have married into the Landon family long ago. That's all in the past. Now I'm Victor Hayes's wife. I just want to live well with him. Live well. Just relying on that worthless guy with no job. Lazing at home all day? Grace? Wake up. He's not worthy of you. Only Vaughn is worthy of our Willow family's daughter. Enough! Willow Grace suddenly raised her voice, carrying a hint of hysteria. I won't allow you to talk about him like that. He's my husband. The living room immediately went silent. I stood outside the door listening to the dialogue inside, my heart a mix of emotions. In my previous life, Lydia Snow had said similar things. Back then, Willow Grace just listened coldly, without a word of rebuttal. But now, she was actually arguing with her mother for me. What on earth was wrong with this woman? Chapter 6. I didn't go in. Eavesdropping wasn't my hobby, but at that moment, some force made me want to know what Willow Grace would do next. The silence in the living room didn't last long. Lydia Snow's sharp voice rang out again, full of disbelief. Willow Grace, you actually yelled at your mother for an outsider? I'm your mother. Say that again. Victor Hayes isn't an outsider. He's my husband. Willow Grace's voice regained calm, but radiated unshakable resolve. Before, I was wrong. From today on, I'll treat him well. So please, Mom and Dad, and everyone in the family, respect him a bit. Respect a worthless guy living off our Willow family. On what grounds does he deserve respect? Lydia Snow sneered. Just on the grounds that he's my man, Willow Grace's. This sentence Willow Grace said decisively, bold and weighty. I stood outside the door. My heart skipped a beat. My man, Willow Grace's. This sentence from her mouth. How could it have such impact? You've really been possessed. Lydia Snow was so angry she couldn't speak. I don't care. You must divorce that worthless guy immediately. Then prepare to get engaged to Vaughn. I've already sounded out the Landon family. I won't divorce. Willow Grace's tone remained flat as ever. As for Landon Vaughn, I'll explain it to him myself. Mom, I'm really tired. I want to rest now. With that, I heard a series of footsteps. It seemed Willow Grace was heading upstairs. "Stop right there," Lydia Snow shouted from behind. "Willow Grace, die. If you dare defy me for that worthless guy, then I'll act as if I don't have a daughter like you." The footsteps paused for a moment. My heart tightened. I unconsciously held my breath. With Willow Grace's filial piety toward her parents, faced with such a threat, would she compromise? A few seconds later, I heard her clear but firm voice. "As you wish." With that, the footsteps sounded again, growing fainter. In the living room, only Lydia Snow's heavy panting remained, and the crisp sound of porcelain shattering. I quietly turned and went back to my small room. My heart felt like a bottle of mixed flavors overturned. I couldn't quite describe the feeling. Touched, maybe a little. This was the first time Willow Grace had openly confronted her family for me. But more than that was doubt and wariness. Could a person really undergo a 180-degree change just because of rebirth? The pain from my previous life was still vivid. I didn't dare trust lightly. Perhaps this was just a ploy of suffering to keep me here. After all, the Victor Hayes of this life was no longer the penniless pauper, empty-handed anymore. Although she didn't know about my dad yet, but with her experience, she might have noticed something. I lay on the bed, tossing and turning, unable to sleep. In my mind, one moment, it was Willow Grace's tearful eyes. The next, my dad's weathered face. Just as I was about to drift off, from outside the door came a series of light knocks. Knock, knock, knock. I jolted upright. "Who's there?" No answer from outside. I frowned, thinking I'd misheard. Knock, knock, knock. The knocking came again, softer than before, as if afraid to wake someone. I threw on a robe and went to the door, peered out through the peephole. Under the hallway light was a familiar figure. It was Willow Grace. She'd shed her sharp suit, draped in a silk nightgown, her long hair cascading loosely over her shoulders, her face bare of makeup, losing some of her usual cool elegance, gaining a touch of homely gentleness. In her hands, she carried a tray. On it, a bowl of something steaming. What was she doing here so late? I hesitated whether to open the door. Willow Grace outside seemed a bit tense. She held the tray, constantly scuffing her toes on the floor. Occasionally glancing up at my door, her eyes full of anticipation and nervousness. That look was like a girl in love, waiting for a response from her dream guy. My heart stirred slightly. Some impulse made me open the door. Willow Grace clearly hadn't expected me to open so quickly. She jumped in fright. The tray wobbled. Some soup sloshed out of the bowl. Scalding her, "Victor Hayes, are you okay?" I instinctively grabbed her wrist. Her hand was hot, the back already red in a patch. "I'm fine." Willow Grace shook her head, pushed the tray toward me, her eyes avoiding mine. "I made you some hangover soup. Didn't you drink tonight?" I was stunned. I hadn't drunk at all. Then it hit me. She was probably finding a clumsy excuse for her late-night visit. Seeing her cautious demeanor, I suddenly found it a bit amusing. Was this still the woman who cut deals ruthlessly in business? The icy female CEO. "Come in." I stepped aside to let her enter. This was the first time she'd set foot in my room. Chapter 7. Willow Grace stepped into my small room, looking a bit awkward. She glanced around at this tiny, simple space, a flash of complex emotion in her eyes. "You live here?" she asked softly, her voice carrying a subtle tremble. "Where else?" I took the tray from her and set it on the table, my tone flat. "Does the great Miss Willow think a live-in son-in-law like me could stay in the main house guest room?" My words were laced with thorns. Willow Grace's face went pale. She lowered her head, like a child who'd done wrong. "I'm sorry." Those 3 words again. I heard them and felt a bit annoyed. "Willow Grace, If all you know is those 3 words, then please, leave. I pulled out a chair and sat, picked up the bowl, called hangover soup, and sniffed it. It was seafood porridge, with shrimp and scallops inside. Very fragrant, my favorite flavor. Willow Grace was left speechless by me, silent for a long while. She stood frozen in place, hands and feet fumbling. That pitiful look made the nameless fire in my heart subside again. Sit. I pointed to the chair opposite. She acted like she'd been granted amnesty, carefully sitting across from me, hands on her knees, sitting straight, like an elementary student, awaiting a teacher's scolding. I ignored her, ate the porridge myself. It was cooked skillfully, the heat just right, grains soft and sticky, seafood fresh and sweet. I ate bite by bite, finishing quickly. Had to admit, the taste was truly excellent. When I finished, Willow Grace's eyes lit up, like receiving huge encouragement. Good? She asked tentatively. Not bad. I set the bowl down, wiped my mouth, tone still flat, but only I knew. My heart was no longer as calm as it appeared. Serena Moon's words echoed in my mind. Could the porridge I ate, when sick before, really have been cooked by her own hands? Victor Hayes. Willow Grace mustered courage and looked up at me. Can we talk? About what? How your mom called me worthless today. Or about Landon Vaughn, your childhood sweetheart. I leaned back in the chair, arms crossed, assuming an interrogating pose. Mentioning Landon Vaughn Dawn. Willow Grace's eyes darkened. He and I really have nothing. She explained softly. In my previous life, the reason I got close to him was because I thought you didn't like me. I wanted to make you angry. Make me angry. I nearly burst out laughing. Miss Willow, aren't you overestimating yourself? You think I'd care? My words like a dagger, stabbing deep into her heart. Her face instantly turned desolate, lips trembling, unable to speak. Seeing her hurt look, I felt no pleasure at all. Instead, a bit reluctant. Damn it. I cursed myself inwardly. Victor Hayes. Since when did you become so soft-hearted? All right, it's late. Go back. I stood up to show her out. I feared if I stayed with her longer, the psychological barrier I'd barely built would collapse. Willow Grace didn't move. She looked up at me with red-rimmed eyes, her voice pleading, Victor Hayes, don't drive me away, okay? With that, she suddenly stood, hugging my waist tightly from behind. My whole body stiffened, her face pressed against my back, warm breath through the thin pajamas, seeping into my skin. I could clearly feel the softness of her body, and that slight tremble, a familiar scent, making my heart race, wafted into my nose. It was her signature, clean wood, fragrance. I felt my body react immediately. Damn, this body was still too young, too honest. Willow Grace, let go. I tried to struggle, my voice a bit off-key. No, she hugged tighter, burying her face in my back, choking out. Victor Hayes, I know I was wrong before. Terribly wrong. Hit me, scold me, treat me however you want. Just, please don't leave me. Her voice carried thick sobs, warm tears soaking through the pajamas, drenching my back. My heart was in chaos. Chapter 8. In the end, I couldn't push her away. Or, perhaps, deep down I didn't want to push her away at all. I stood rigid, letting her hug me from behind, feeling her warmth and tremble. Neither of us spoke. In the room, only her suppressed sniffles, and our heartbeats. I don't know how long passed. Her crying gradually stopped. Victor Hayes, she spoke softly from behind. Do you remember our first meeting? I paused briefly. Our first meeting. It was the day before we registered our marriage, in Old Man Willow's study. Back then she wore a white suit, like an arrogant queen, coldly telling me, I don't care what your purpose is in marrying me. You'd best behave yourself. Don't harbor any unworthy illusions. Back then I'd just lost my dad. Dirt poor. Faced with her warning, I could only nod humbly. Remember, I replied indifferently with 2 words. Then do you remember what I said then about liking quiet? Remember, then do you know why I like quiet? I frowned, not knowing what she was up to. Because, she paused, her voice lowering, because I can hear your inner thoughts. What did you say? I abruptly turned around, looking at her in disbelief. She jumped from my turn, instinctively, stepping back, but her arms still held me, not letting go. I can hear your inner thoughts, she repeated once more, her eyes utterly serious. From our first meeting I could hear them. My head boomed, completely dazed. She could hear my inner thoughts. What absurd setup was this? No wonder. In my previous life, I always felt she could see through my mind. No wonder every time I inwardly cursed her, her face grew colder. No wonder whenever I inwardly praised her beauty, her ears turned oddly red. So it all wasn't my imagination. So everything I thought in my previous life. I spoke with difficulty. Yeah, I knew it all. Willow Grace nodded, a bitter smile on her face. I knew on the surface you were respectful and polite to me, but inside you cursed me as an emotionless ice block. I knew you secretly nicknamed me the exterminating nun. Why? My old face instantly flushed red. Done for. A massive social death scene. I also knew. Willow Grace's face reddened too. Her voice, tiny as a mosquito. Every night you secretly thought about. She didn't continue. But that shy expression said it all. I just wished for a hole to crawl into. Heavens, what on earth did I think about in my previous life? All that nonsense. She heard it all. My lifetime image shattered. So I looked at her, suddenly realizing an even graver issue. In your previous life, you clearly knew what I was thinking. Why still treat me so coldly? You clearly knew I liked you. Toward the end, my voice dropped low. Yes, in my previous life, I liked her, though I cursed on the surface. But deep down, I truly liked her. Liked her beauty. Liked her independence. Liked her serious work demeanor. It was just that affection, worn down to nothing by her coldness and arrogance. Hearing my question, Willow Grace's eyes reddened again, because I was afraid. She lowered her head, her voice full of regret. From childhood, I was raised as an heir. My mom told me emotions are weaknesses, burdens. I didn't dare return your feelings. I feared I'd lose myself. Moreover, back then I thought you liked me only for my status, for my money. I feared it wasn't sincere. Her explanation made my heart ache sharply. So behind that icy shell, what was protected was such a fragile, sensitive heart. Then what about Landon Vaughn? I still asked the question I cared most about. He and I are really just friends. Willow Grace hurriedly explained. In my previous life, I got close to him, partly to make you jealous, partly to use him to help you. Help me? I was stunned. Willow Grace nodded. Back then, didn't you want to open your own winery? But you had no startup capital, no connections. The Vaughn family runs hotel chains. I thought if he could help you, your winery would quickly find outlets. So I pretended to have feelings for him, to get him to invest in you. But I didn't expect you'd misunderstand, nor that things would escalate like that. Toward the end, she sobbed uncontrollably, seeing her tears streaming, my heart a jumble of emotions. So, the thing I hated my whole life, the truth, was like this. What I thought was betrayal was actually her clumsy protection. What I thought was coldness was actually her timidity and disguise. This silly woman. I reached out, gently wiping the tears from her face. Her body stiffened, lifting her head looking at me with tear-blurred eyes. Victor Hayes. Have you forgiven me? I didn't answer her, just lowered my head, placing a kiss on those chattering lips. The moment our lips touched, I clearly heard an inner voice cheering joyfully, to the point of exploding, ringing in my mind. Ah, he kissed me. He finally kissed me. I knew he still liked me. So happy, want to spin around. So not only could she hear my inner thoughts, but I could hear hers too. This kiss was very pure, very clumsy. Willow Grace clearly had no experience, just letting me take freely. Her body stiff as a log, but her inner voice was lively as a market. Why hasn't he put his tongue in yet? Is he disgusted with me? His lips are so soft, so sweet, want to bite them. Heart beating so fast, legs going weak, can't stand much longer. I was stirred by these bold words, nearly surrendering on the spot. Ending the kiss, we both panted. Willow Grace's face red as a ripe apple, eyes hazy, misty veil making my throat dry. Do you believe me now? I cupped her flushed cheek, asked hoarsely. She stared blankly at me, taking a while to react, nodding frantically like a pecking chicken. I believe. Whatever hubby says, I believe it all. Hubby's the best. This hubby address made my heart thump hard. I couldn't help lowering for another kiss. No more random thoughts from now on? Got it? Yes. Obediently nodding, like a submissive little cat. Hubby kissed me. He kissed me again. Health bar depleted. Need hubby to kiss, hug, lift high, to recover. This woman's inner world. Did it have to be so dramatic? Compared to her icy CEO exterior, it was such a huge contrast. But this feeling was pretty fun. I pulled her to sit by the bed. She immediately clung like a koala, arms around my neck, whole body hanging on me. Victor Hayes. So are you still divorcing me? She lifted her little face pitifully to ask me. Don't divorce. If you dare say divorce, I'll cry right now. No more divorce. I stroked her hair, my voice full of helplessness and fondness. Stuck with a debt like you, I admit defeat. Yeah, she cheered, planting a smack kiss on my cheek. Awesome. Hubby's mine now. That little Serena Moon. Don't even think of competing with me. She even saw Serena Moon as a rival. What was this all about? I cleared my throat, deciding to set 3 rules with her. No divorce is fine. But there are conditions. Tell me. Not just a few. Hundreds are okay. She immediately sat up straight. Serious face. As long as no divorce. Tell me to do anything. Even that thing, I was speechless at the trash in her head. Raised one finger. From now on at home, don't call my name. Call me hubby. This, I just learned from her inner thoughts. Willow Grace's face whooshed red. Hubby dear. She stammered long without saying it. So embarrassing, but I love it. Hubby. Seeing her shy exterior, but fiery interior, I couldn't help wanting to laugh. Can't say it. I deliberately sterned my face. I can. She took a deep breath, closed her eyes, called softly like a mosquito. Hubby. The voice soft and sweet, with a hint of coquettish aftertaste, making my bones melt. Good girl. I nodded satisfied, raised the second finger. Second. D. From now on I decide home matters. Yes. She nodded without hesitation. Hubby's the boss. Hubby says east, I absolutely won't go west. Hubby says, take off pants. I absolutely won't wear a skirt. Stop. If you keep talking, I won't control myself. Third. I took a deep breath, forcing myself to calm. Move in here with me. I pointed to the small bed only 5 feet wide. Willow Grace, blank. She looked at the bed, then at me. Her little face instantly red to the neck. Live. Here? Want to sleep in one bed with hubby? So nervous, so exciting. Will he do this and that with me? Really looking forward. Seeing her conflicted look of fear, yet anticipation. The beast in me stirred again. I leaned close to her ear, lowering my voice, speaking in a deep, magnetic tone. What? Not willing? My breath brushed her ear. She sensitively shrank her neck, ears reddening visibly. No, no unwillingness. Her voice tiny as a mosquito. Willing, 10,000 times willing. Come on then. Don't hold back just because I'm a delicate flower. I couldn't hold back. Faffed, laughing out loud. This woman was truly a comedic treasure. What are you laughing at? Willow Grace got a bit angry from embarrassment. She raised her hand for a light punch. That force, like tickling. Nothing. I caught her hand, kissed it on the lips. Just think my wife is so cute. Boom, Willow. Grace felt her mind, like a bomb exploding. Cute. Diet. He actually called me cute. He said, I'm cute. He dares call me cute. Done for, done for. I'm about to faint. Need hubby for CPR.I. Seeing her look, like fainting from happiness. I shook my head with a wry smile. I held her hand and pulled her up. Let's go to your room to pack your things. Now? Willow Grace paused briefly. If not now, you want me to wait till morning? I raised an eyebrow at her. No, no, no. Go now. Right away. Willow Grace, like injected with energy, grabbed my hand and dashed out. As if afraid I'd change my mind. Seeing her impatient, eager back, the smile on my lips grew deeper. Perhaps reborn this life. Living well with this icy CEO wife, whose interior is full of drama, wasn't a bad choice. Chapter 10. Late night, the main Willow house. Willow Grace's bedroom. This was my first time in her room. The whole room decorated in cold black, white, gray tones. Simple to the extreme. Compared to my outbuilding room, 10 times larger, but no sense of human warmth. This fit perfectly with how she made me feel in my previous life. Cold, empty, 1,000 miles from others. I have a lot of stuff. Maybe move tomorrow? Willow Grace stood at the door, a bit shyly saying. In her room, besides bed and wardrobe, most were all kinds of documents and books. In a huge dressing room, hung full of suits and gowns in various styles. Hardly any brightly colored clothes. No problem, I'll help you. I took off my jacket and started. Willow Grace saw and hurried over to help. One handling clothes from the closet, one packing into suitcases. The atmosphere a bit subtly quiet. Willow Grace held a pile of clothes, hesitated long. Finally couldn't hold back. Hubby, your dad, he's back? My packing hands paused. How did I know his dad is back? Then, I can't let him go, even more. What if his dad dislikes how I treated him before, and makes him divorce me? No way. I must perform well. Make his dad like me. So she was worried about this. I found it a bit funny inside. But, face unchanged. Yeah, he's back. So dad, what kind of person is he? Easy to get along with? She asked carefully. What does he like? Cigarettes, wine, tea, antiques, or calligraphy? Tomorrow I'll prepare right away. Must make father-in-law happy. Seeing her facing the enemy look, I suddenly wanted to tease her. My dad, I deliberately drew out, has a bad temper. Especially hates anyone who treated his son badly. Willow Grace's face, whoosh, went pale. Done. Dead for sure. I treated him so badly before. His dad definitely won't like me. What to do? Should I go beg forgiveness now? Seeing her panicked, about to cry. Finally, I couldn't hold back laughing. Just kidding. I reached out and pinched her cheek. My dad's kind. You don't need to be tense. Willow Grace stared blankly at me. Took a while to realize she'd been tricked. She glared angrily. Cheeks flushed red. Looking truly cute. You're so mean. She raised her hand for a light punch. I caught her hand, pulled her into my arms smoothly. Even if I'm mean, I'm your hubby. I lowered for a light kiss on her lips. She instantly stopped being mad, obediently leaning on my chest, corners of her mouth uncontrollably curving up. Hubby hugged me, kissed me too. Love it. If he were a bit naughtier, that'd be great. In this woman's brain. Couldn't she think something wholesome? We joked around, taking over an hour to finish packing her things. 2 huge suitcases, stuffed with basically all her daily items. Inside, let's go, my dear wife. Back to our little nest. I easily carried a large suitcase in each hand. Winked at her. Willow Grace trailed behind like a little tail. We one in front, one behind. Boldly walked out the main house, toward the outbuilding. On the way, met the family butler. The butler saw me carrying Willow Grace's suitcases, and Willow Grace nestled like a little bird behind me. His eyes nearly popped out. Young miss, what are you? I'm moving in with Victor Hayes, Willow Grace declared casually, but her tone carried a subtle boast. The butler gaped, completely stunned, seeing the butler's ghost-seeing expression. Inside, I felt really satisfied. Let you all who looked down on me before, now your young miss is mine. Back to our little nest. I arranged her things one by one. The originally simple room, now with these feminine items, instantly became much cozier. Done. All set. I dusted my hands, looking at the room like new wow, nodded, satisfied. Willow Grace stood by watching it all, her eyes a bit red again. Thank you, hubby. She came over and hugged me from behind. Thank what? We're husband and wife, aren't we? I turned and held her in my arms. So happy. Is this the feeling of family? Hearing her content inner voice, my heart softened too. It's late, time to sleep. I patted her back. She let go, went to the bed, lifted the blanket and slipped in, then patted the empty spot beside, opened her sparkling eyes wide at me, those eyes full of anticipation and invitation. I felt my throat instantly dry. Tonight was destined to be sleepless. I took a deep breath, went to the bed and lay beside her. As soon as I lay down, she clung like an octopus, legs naturally over mine, her small hands restlessly roaming my body. Hubby, your figure's so nice, she whispered breathily in my ear. Got an 8-pack. As she spoke, her hand slipped under my pajama hem, stroking back and forth on my firm abs. My whole body stiffened, feeling blood rush to a certain unspeakable part. Wow, really hard. Hand feels so good. This woman was playing with fire. I grabbed her mischievous hands, flipped and pinned her under me, voice hoarse and strained. Willow Grace, do you know what you're doing? She jumped from my sudden move, but right after, her face showed a smile that could topple nations. She wrapped her arms around my neck, initiatively arching up to kiss my Adam's apple. She licked her lips, eyes dreamy, voice full of allure. I'm seducing you, hubby. The last rational string called gentleman in my brain snapped with a ping. Forget it. Reborn once, why play the upright gentleman? Tonight's spring scenery blooming. Such good timing. How to waste it? I lowered my head and kissed her deeply. Outside the window, the moon hung thick, while our story had just begun.